do you know, I wish that, you know, the guy that does the train stuff and has the GoPro? Yeah. I wish we just did that when we went for coffee.
The only issue is you go sit in public.
Yeah, that's hilarious. A one-off special. We're here. This feels weird. This feels weird not having you do your usual pattern, which makes me feel awkward. But this is my first video back full 360 12 months ago. I think we did our first.
That is crazy. It feels like so much
I was
longer
so
ago.
nervous. I cannot tell you how nervous. I remember walking into Justin's house and I was like, I'm just going like, what if I've got nothing to say? Or like, what if the internet was like, you're terrible? And my favourite comment, there are 2 comments that came out of that video, which hooked me. The first was, her biceps are comparable to him. Thank you, whoever that was.
That's why I've covered up today, just to non-compete. I've got non-compete today, but
yeah.
I'll slide into there just to...
I mean, yeah, okay, fine, you're right.
It was big.
But whatever. But it was a nice comment. It was a nice comment. But the second one was, I expected you to know nothing, and then you open your mouth and you know stuff. And I think you're actually trying to be really kind. So I took it. And I thought, I'm going to keep doing this video stuff. And now here we are, 12 months later, in the old living room, chatting some more stuff.
No, it's been such a joy, truly. And I'm not just saying it because we're recording. It's been such a joy. It's just been so much fun. Like to have gone through, you know, the journey, buying, selling, getting excited about novelties together, getting to visit brands, getting to know brands, getting to film more together. Because since that first one, we did do a second.
Yep.
Which I don't know if that was the pickup in
it was. No, the pickup was the 3755.
Yeah.
That was the August.
Yeah.
And then we've done Hermes.
Yeah.
We've just done so many, like, honestly, I feel like I 12 months ago couldn't have imagined a life on camera. Like, my job before this meant I didn't have social media. And now I genuinely have found this thing where...
It's not a secret diary anymore.
It's like the worst secret.
It's not a secret diary anymore.
It's not a secret. If anything, I'm just like a glutton for more. Give me more. But no, so thank you so much for coming. But today, I think you've ruined my life in many ways in the past 12 months. Financially
in
ruined.
more ways than anyone will ever know. Should we clear up some? We should probably clear up some speculation out there.
Salacious rumours.
Em and I actually aren't related.
No, we're not.
We're not related, even though there is some, you know, there is a meme out there apparently that speculates. There's a meme that speculates that we might be connected by birth. We are not, to our knowledge.
No.
I mean, it really is a compliment.
Really, it's a huge compliment.
And so thank you for that. We should also cover off the fact that a CEO that we're both quite friendly with did ask you a question. No, he didn't ask you. He asked someone else, maybe.
He asked somebody that works for the brand, who then asked,
whether we were engaged emotionally, spiritually,
romantically,
which we're not.
We're clearing that one up now. I love responding to that. Like, these dating?
I have, interestingly enough, left my wedding ring at home. Now the reason for that is that I was at the gym at lunchtime and I sprinted back. And anyone who wears a ring to train in will know just how they get ripped up. So
right.
I did.
So
and
it wasn't
it's not
for me.
strategic. No, it's not for you, nor for the lovely lady that keeps getting in touch on Instagram. Shall we make this official? The bots, the Chinese bots that keep getting in touch saying, "Shall we?"
Yeah, they're ruthless, aren't they?
Right now.
But you do post thirst traps. You do. I'm sorry. There was one video where Justin bounds down the beach. I think it's glistening. I swear, maybe it was a bit of a Daniel Craig moment. And you then started talking about Bond watches, and I immediately was like, thirst trap. I think you're
I've
cornering
never done that
before,
but yeah, we Brittany's filming with us today. You know, much bigger social than us, and knows the power of what that can be at times. You know, not deployed often. I certainly was not deploying anything there because I've got a 98% male audience.
Is it 98%?
No, it's not, but probably similar to that. I don't know.
I'd actually love to see your demographics.
Oh God.
But yes, not romantically.
Just to be clear.
And we met at Watches and Wonders. I was wearing the titanium ingenieur. You bounded over. And I was like, oh my God, I've followed this guy for ages, which now feels the most bizarre thing in the world. But like, a woman wearing that watch, we have to film.
You know, I love that watch on you, and I still do love the watch on you, and it just works so nicely.
Well, are there any other rumours you want to clear up?
Well, I've had the STI I've been struggling with for some time has now been officially settled. No, sorry. I took the pill. It's no longer itching. But beyond that, no. Sorry, no, I don't have anything else to add.
I sincerely hope that makes it into the car. Well, very early on, you have to make the decision. Like, am I going for super polished or actually what
happens?
What happens? Yeah.
With a shadow of a doubt, we are well, I think I'm beyond repair now, so it's kind of
Oh
beyond that.
yeah. You're on borrowed time.
But interesting thing is, you're setting off on a journey which has been like 5, 6, 7 films deep.
Yeah.
So exciting. I'm genuinely excited for you, and you've had such a positive impact already in just a year plus. But I'm thinking, wow, what's the strategy here? Like, where do you take it? Because we can show them everything. We can show them. You can show them nothing. You can show everyone everything. And I think it's about it's about honesty, right? It's about authenticity now.
I'm with
sure.
you. You use the word strategy, which kind of makes me shudder, because this doesn't feel like
there's
work.
No strategy.
And when people ask me that, how do you decide what to film about? There are no notes, as you can probably tell. Like, it is just, if we go for coffee. Another thing came up. The Amsterdam 6-hour train journey. Nobody believes me that we spoke about nothing other than watches, because that's an intense amount of time.
What we didn't do was interview anyone around us and ask them their
I think
thoughts.
They would have told us.
They were slowly moving away, like
5 a.m. train.
during like a theatre performance, with people slowly leaving because it's so shit.
It's a pure joy, and as soon as it stops being a joy,
when the fun stops, stop. Sorry, you can't laugh at your own joke either. Sorry, that is appalling.
Right, on that note, ways that Justin has ruined my life, so financially ruined my life. Number one, it has to be the velocity at which I've always looked at watches intensely. I've always probably bought a little bit faster than I should. But now it's even worse. You've got a problem. We can admit that.
I've got a problem for sure, and I'm just, I'm just getting to grips with it.
Yeah.
Ironically, making the joke about gambling addiction, but I think there could be a segue there.
No, I think
I am absolutely managing that addiction.
Is it a dopamine thing? What is it? Is it the high of the pursuit?
I think it comes down to just the excitement.
Yeah.
I listened to someone talk about people referencing happiness, seeking happiness in life. It's not about happiness you're seeking, it's actually excitement you're seeking.
Yeah.
That's actually really what I think we're all seeking.
Yeah.
So ultimately, the watch is just plugged in inextricably to excitement.
Yeah.
A new one, something to discuss. Honestly, it's more just the exchange with people that you value on it. I might be wrong, and people can comment on that, but I think it's about presenting that photo, like sending that photo to someone trusted.
Yeah.
And there's probably 4 or 5 people now that I feel like those are the people that I go to share something that I'm interested in. And I can almost preempt the response that I'm going to get from each and every one of them. So you go to the people that you think are going to give you something different, maybe the same, like maybe what you want to hear. Not all of them will, but you're certainly one of them. And I think the joy is just having something a bit odd now. Now the joy is something weird, something unexpected. It's like, what do you think? What do you think? Can we make it happen? And then plugging that into the challenge of actually making it happen, trying to find the money, trying to find the connecting the dots somehow. That's the fun of it. And it's put me almost, into disrepute in so many ways. But what is it for you? Is it the same or?
But no, you said something quite interesting, which the word addiction is a strong word, but it's almost, I think, quite true if you're in anything where you collect, because there is literally no such thing as achieving a state of happiness and contentment. That is elusive. How nice would that be to have that watch that you go, oh, this is amazing, I just love it, and you move on. And think about how much time you'd have in your day. But then again, I wouldn't trade it for the world, because it's the thing that, again, I wake up in the morning and one of much of the annoyance of people around me, Chrono 24, the news, probably some 4-minute voice note of you about oh, should I do this, should I not? But that is such a thrill, and getting to know people in this industry. I mean, one massive moment for me now, I'm way out of the sphere of Roger Smith watches, but growing up in Bolton, I remember being 13, 14, reading about him and watching his YouTube videos. And now, I wrote an article about him the other day, and he texted me and said, thank you. I mean, that is a moment where even I'm now like, that's weird that you were this person to me I would never know, never meet, never own your watches. But I've gone on to such an obsession with his stuff now that you sort of become on friendly basis with people, and that's it. Is that everyone in this industry, whether you're a creator of watches, whether you're you are an enamelist, whatever, you build these relationships because they're so intense. And I think that's now my collecting journey is I don't want to buy anything or collect anything that doesn't have a wider meaning. And I don't just want to buy the thing to buy the thing, which I've been so guilty of, Whereas isn't there such a pleasure in, I don't know, Laurent Ferrier, there was the great journey. I was never really that exposed to them, but your obsession with the sport auto, I was like, okay, cool, I'll start to learn more about it. And then you go out and you meet these people. I speak not a sausage of French. Bonjour is literally the limit of my French. It's embarrassing. And Laurent was at lunch, and he spoke entirely in French for the whole thing. And we had sort of translation. But number one, it drilled into me how much I wanted to learn French for this moment and for the industry, because that's how obsessive it is. So you want to sort of reciprocate, and somebody giving their whole time and they don't understand what you're saying either, but still chooses to sit at lunch. He came back towards the end of the day and asked if I had any questions, and then we filmed it all in French. It was just that level of generosity, which now has fed back into, that's the kind of stuff I want to collect. And that is how it keeps going. But
it could be argued that it's the ultimate luxury.
What do you mean?
Getting to know the maker.
Yeah,
I would say the ultimate luxury in a world that, luxury, generally speaking, is not attractive. It's not, the luxury for luxury's sake, because the word is sort of often associated with craftsmanship is very different. Luxury is the way it's positioned and exposed to us and pumped and pushed to us, and craft is how it's delivered.
Yeah.
And that's the key difference. And I think getting closer to the craftspeople is what I think we're both very passionate about. And there's a lot of others out there, a lot of collectors, and you can see that with the boom of these independents, that the Simon Bretts of the world, the Rexeps of the world, the Sylvain Bernerons of the world, and it is sort of the last echelon of luxury.
Yeah.
I would argue that at the top level, and we've just been over there now, but I would say at the very top level of the worlds of Vacheron and Patek is this rarefied air that is bespoke.
Yeah.
That I've no idea how that works, but that is another world as well, where you could probably meet the team, and I know for a fact actually at Vacheron you can meet the team that are still involved in the Le Cabanon LTA.
But that's we're now at such wild levels.
So you're still meeting craftsmen and artisans, it's just it's slightly different.
It's much harder to access. But maybe that's what makes independent watchmaking so appealing, is that people are... You said something about craft, which I think is fascinating, is as soon as you start talking about somebody who... I often use the story of somebody, it changed my life when I met somebody who had just enamelled for 30 years and was so passionate. That for me is what a watch is. And no matter what event I'm at, or dinner, or I don't know, coffee with anyone, when you give that patter, people get it more. It's connecting back to what is the point in everything. Like we're all just searching for meaning. We're all searching for a sense of belonging to what's around us. And a watch, for me, in its most simple thing, and this is another reason I collect, is it is the epitome of what humans can do. And that's it. For no other reason did Simon Brett have an inverse polished screw, other than no one had done it and looked great. The Yasmina anti-dragon claw, never been done, looked great. That's why these people, I think, connect back to a collector, is they understand the deeply emotional side of it.
What would a Simon Brett look like without that dragon claw finish?
It's a very interesting question.
That's probably the definitive design feature for me on that watch.
On the brand?
And pretty much the brand right now. I mean, it's funny how without that, and that was obviously his vision for bringing her in and having it, but if they didn't have that...
it wouldn't work for you?
It would just be very shockingly different. Like you'd see it and it would be like, wow, that's probably not what I remember.
As you said, you're going more into exciting niche stuff. What is that now?
I find this watch to be, as you know, just super wearable, really enjoyable to own, and really psychologically interesting knowing that Laurent was at Patek and was in the team. And the interesting thing here, guys, is he's a humble man. He's a man who doesn't take credit. A lot of watchmakers don't. He was at Patek at the time, and he was working within the team. What he was doing, he took the Nautilus 2D design, he turned it into a 3D design. So his team was responsible for doing that. And the Aquanaut was almost entirely fresh, and that was part of him. So he was intimately involved in that, and you can see the DNA. Now, this was him saying, I'm going to make my own sports watch. Yeah. And so this is what he did with free reign. So I just find that really interesting. What does it represent where I'm at right now? It probably is represented best in the watch that I've got in my bag, which is a Saltarello, a Vacheron Saltarello.
Yes.
You know, we both, I think, we agree on most things, but we particularly agree on that watch being very special. Thank you, Rune, in Denmark, who kindly sold me that watch, and I will talk more about that publicly, but a long road, because in many ways, without this long journey to getting to the point of owning it, which was really quite turbulent in the sense that I couldn't pay for the watch. He was kind enough to wait for me, then Tim and the Subdial team kindly bought it and serviced it because it required a service, which bought me some more time. And there we are. So it really was a long road. As always, he got in touch at the very worst time to say I could buy it. That is a watch, one of 100, hand engraving on the JLC caliber that was in the original Nautilus and the original AP, but hand finishing that we just don't see anymore.
It's beautiful.
Jump hour. It is the year of the jump hour pretty much for new watches. So it's interesting that that's a watch from the 90s.
Yeah.
And to me, probably one of the icons of the brand now.
100 in yellow gold?
In yellow gold.
So do you know how many it costs?
I think it was 200 in pink.
Oh, wow.
200, I think, in white or platinum. I can't quite remember.
So yellow gold's the rarer,
so
rarer bird.
Yellow's the rare bird. Grey dial. So yellow on grey, which I find really interesting.
What were the other variations?
Pink on pink.
Okay.
Yeah, pink on pink, which is really
Pretty
quite
hot
sexy.
combo.
It's pretty sexy. The other one is sort of, a little bit, it's like an ivory, a bone kind of colour. But that case is like, it's not Art Deco, it's sort of like that, it's like arts and crafts.
When you sent me the picture, I was like, I'm actually for the first time in our friendship, bitter. I am bitter.
She's
that
admitting
you have
it publicly. I can't
I'm
believe it.
I actually don't think I can talk to you.
But there it is. And just,
Oh, so good.
they've never made the case before, they never made the case
What's
after.
the case called?
I have no idea. They didn't have a name for it. I mean, it's tiered, I guess, and it's just wonderful. The finishing is just over the top. It's over the top.
Yeah.
Like,
And the oscillating way as well is just so good.
that's probably one of the things I'm interested right now in is,
Yeah.
I've always heard collectors talking about quality, but I am interested now in quality. That might sound ridiculous, but I'm interested in handling the watch and really looking for quality.
Yeah.
I think over the years, being in the media, like as a writer, like writing for different publications, you get presented a lot of watches.
Yes.
And we all tend to tread a line. We tend to tread a fine line. When you're in front of the brand, of course, you're never openly negative. You can push back and ask questions. But I think when you see quality, you feel it, you handle it. It's interesting. Now, when I say quality, what do I mean? I say original design.
Yeah.
I say original dial layout and complication, something inspired, and then probably most of all finishing. When I look at the movement there, it's just insanely nicely finished by hand. And I think it's finishing of a yesteryear. We just don't see that level of finishing anymore from anyone, quite frankly.
But I would actually say that the market doesn't address that. Everything's the hottest watch. Everything's brand new. Everything is, if you dare say something's derivative, you're being negative. The reality is it's quite hard to have an original design. That's
Very.
If you come up with something truly original, is that even possible? I don't think it is. You're always derivative in some way. But what I think was also actually fascinating is you talk about craft and why you love something. And one of the many things we also talk about is furniture and clothes. I almost think that to reduce you, like Mr. Hast, down to just watches.
God, I'm sorry, I didn't realise this was the subject.
The
subject of the chat.
But I think that's the core of it all, though. It's you're not just collecting because, this is an expensive thing and it looks good on my wrist and you can, walk around with it. That really misses the point. It's actually, you are, certainly from my experience of you, and something I'm learning from even myself, is that the furniture you will choose has a story. It will have something to it that has a person behind it. Is that something have you always been that way? Or?
I was really lucky. I think there was a gent in my life, actually. He's still around, Bruce. He's a lovely man. But growing up, he was sort of like a mentor, interior designer, photographer, really amazing eye. I used to work for him in the holidays, and just a lovely man. The passion for the everyday. Yeah. Now, in his situation, he had the means to do a lot. He had the means to have almost everything, but his passion for the everyday was what really struck me. So the smell, I can vividly remember of the man like going up and smelling spices at a market and just being moved by the smell of the he was in decorations, so he'd look at colours and he'd look at textures. He was almost lost in that way that artists are in the work, right? So he'd go up and start touching things, and you couldn't communicate with him because he was so into what he was. Oh wow! So for me, and that was amazing, to see. And my parents personally, they didn't come from any creative world. They were both professionals, and I thank them a great deal for everything they gave me. But they didn't give me that appreciation of craft. They didn't give me the appreciation of treating my dad did, I think, treating things with respect. I heard an amazing quote the other day. This is slightly off the topic, but I was interviewing Masa, the guy from Hodinkee. So he's a lovely man. He lives in Tokyo, and he said I said to him, all of the watches that come from Japan are really well looked after. They're all in great condition. And he said, and he said, everything's got a bit. There's gods in everything. Those were his words. He said, there's gods in everything. Now, I'm not a religious man. I actually don't think he's a religious man. Yeah. But what he's referencing there is something that should be respected, whether that's a pair of shoes, whether that's in a jacket that's been made with stitching in some way, whether that's a piece of furniture that's had the joints not hammered in, should be respected for that. And my God, are we living in a world where we've got enough stuff? We don't need enough. We don't need more stuff. We need better stuff. We need less stuff. And anything that can be recycled or reused again, for me, it's just got so much more charm. I mean, I picked up a trunk that was left outside someone's house in South Ken. They just left it outside. A steamer trunk, like one of those steamer trunks.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, years and years ago, and it's been a great coffee table thing for years. And if that were new, I could never have added that story in patina to it. But because it came from, so anyway, we're literally like we're all singing from the same.
That's the core of it, right? That's the magic. It is a genuine pursuit of craft, and that's where sometimes in the world we're in, like you say. I remember 12 months ago, the idea of getting access to a watch was, I couldn't, right? Whereas now it's true, you all of a sudden you can go see stuff and whatever. But what it does, or what it's hit me with, is that everything has this excitement around it in the media. And if I have something bad to say, I generally speaking just won't say it, because I think there's enough negativity in the world. But it's also amazing if you can be critical in a way that is based in love and based in this concept of story and craft. And it's really cool that that's where the watches are going. Is there anything coming next?
Oh God,
Because do you even own much new anymore?
Really not. No, there is something coming, and there's something that I would like to come. And in many ways, they could be quite a nice duo. I'm not going to comment now on what's leaving. No, what's leaving? Because just to be clear, and I have to make this clear, there has to be casualties. I'm not at the position. I know we're both not, and a lot of our friends. Something has to go. And I think in many ways that adds more to the story. That's much more fun than the collecting journey of just having yes.
I almost wonder if that would be harder.
So there's a lot going. I've got something coming which I'm really excited about. It's a Parmigiani. It's a Tonda PF Sienna. Now I'll tell you why, because going back to that visceral moment when you're presented with something immediately, I was presented with that watch at Watch of Switzerland a while ago, a couple months back, 12 months ago now, put it on, and I had never put it on before. I couldn't believe how fine the bracelet was and how comfortable the bracelet was, the seamless integration of it all. I think the brand is interesting. 2021, Guido came in as a CEO. He was at Bulgari for a long time. He was head of product at Bulgari for a long time. And that color of the dial, it's absolutely a sand color. I'm curious about the brand. So that is coming in, which I'm really excited about. And what I've also realized now, if it's not a visceral yes, it's a no.
That's an interesting topic. I think I've gone wrong.
I've had a Parmigiani. I've got a Parmigiani right now at home, right? The one that I sent you, the black dial, Ionica. Mad, batshit crazy watch. Insane. This was prior to This was prior to...
Is this the OG?
Yeah, this was original. This was Parmigiani, Michel Parmigiani.
So it should be the purest in used dream.
It's incredible, pretty much, yeah. And so the movement is insanely finished. Like we're talking 6, 7, 8 internal angles, insane finishing, hand wound, platinum, amazing weight. But there was another interview I did recently with a collector called Mitch Katz, and he said there's no such thing as you should in collecting. You should. No, you shouldn't do any of it. In my mind, I was like, I should have a shaped case like that. Did I feel the emotion? No. Was I trying to sell it to myself over a number of conversations I had with you included? And you kind of broke my heart when I messaged you, said it's going, it's not coming in. You said, why? I was like, shit, maybe I made a mistake. And then I showed Nat, I showed my wife, and she was like, no. Anyway, it's not going to be going. And I spoke to James Lambden. Funny, I'm going to name him because he's the founder of Analog Shift in the States, and I find his taste to be really interesting. And he and I had a back and forth, and he was like, it wouldn't be one I would lean for. All of that put together, it wasn't an immediate yes. Whereas the Sienna, the Parmigiani Town Tonda, immediately I was like, oh my god, right. The same with that. Yeah. The same with this.
It just is that.
You knew that. So for me, that's one of the key things. It's either like 100% yes or it's a no.
A way to live. Words to live by.
Now that can get you into trouble because without going into relationships here.
Where is he going?
I'm not sure I should be going. Any relationship in its early stages is going to be visceral.
It's
and that's difficult, right? That's difficult to manage because you then it can be applied to watches as well. So you have those fireworks. Can you maintain those fireworks? That's the tricky part. I should say the Patek 5065 Aquanaut, which we tried on together, and in some ways, in my mind, I'm selling to myself because we had that.
It's a shared moment
in Amsterdam where we tried them on, and we both had. You had the Nautilus, the 3800, the slightly smaller. I had the 30.
Beautiful.
And I'm loving that watch right now. I'm thinking about that watch. I'm thinking it could be really well worn. I'm thinking it's a watch that I could wear a lot. Now the question is the tritium dial or not. That's kind of where we're at.
I think that's a wider conversation. But again, it goes back to I've struggled with I haven't bought the Aquanaut or even indeed the 3800 because I struggled with how popular they were for the past 5 years. But we're coming into a market now where everything's having a bad time. It doesn't matter what brand you're in, unless you're an independent maybe. It's a buyer's market. It's a collector's market. And if you're in it for the reasons that are slightly more, I guess, purist or whatever, this is a great time to buy.
Couldn't agree more. Sorry, I realise I'm literally so low on this chair. I'm falling asleep basically because I'm slow. I'm not falling asleep because of the conversation, but I'm so low.
Boring the hell out of him.
I'm so low on this, and I know I'll watch this down the line. I'm like, why did you not sit up? So I'm going to sit up now. I'm entirely with you. And by the way, Patek, I've been agnostic about Patek for a long time.
Yeah,
and I'm not into Patek.
That
I'm really
you
not
don't
into
own
Patek.
a single.
No, I have had I've had a Calatrava, a weird Calatrava for a very short period of time, and then it went and. We both agree that the previous generation of Stern, was where the magic's at. I have to ask, what about you? What about you? What's next for you? Leaving or inbound?
You know what? I'm in a state of turmoil. I've been reflecting a lot recently on change and new beginnings. What it all really means. Turning 30 in a few months, as you can't tell, I'm in complete existential crisis about it. And it's so funny. If somebody said to me, at 15 years old, this would be your life, 15-year-old me would have just never believed that, And then I forget that all the time. If somebody said to me, you'll have more than, I remember buying my Reverso for £2,400 and I traded something in for it. And I think I had to put about £1,000. And I was like, how does anyone have more money than this? And then now to be in a position to buy other things, still not crypto, but I forget that was me 5 years ago, and I'm really trying to just look inside myself now and stop buying because I think I should, which I've definitely bought the bigger brands and the obvious watches because I felt I had to do it or it was somehow part of the journey. And when you're in the boutique, it's so easy to fall into it. But really, honestly, I think that comes from maybe a lack of knowledge that I had about myself, but also about watches, is that this should be fun. And if you don't have that 100%, I gotta go, don't do it. It's fine. I also entered the world of collecting when it was at its hype. I was into it way before then, obviously 2013-ish, but I couldn't buy anything. And that was a really strange time to be able to buy something. I remember I begged for everything that I had. And now we're in that complete different market now. My personal life's changing a lot. And I'm looking at my collection, and the things I naturally go to, I love my Da Vinci. What do I not wear? I perhaps, I sold the Explorers because I didn't wear them. But why is that? And I've realized the core of me is I hate the feeling of being at a dinner and somebody saying, is that a knowing the watch? I really don't like that because I think your watch is almost a representation of you. And I quite like the sort
mystery, the reveal.
Yeah, and the shock on someone's. I was wearing this Laurent Ferrier at a wedding this weekend, and this guy was wearing a 150 grand APQP, and he was within 2 minutes obsessed. He goes, I've never heard of them before, in banking, that's his world. But he knew more about anything than I would have expected from somebody who didn't know what it was. And now we ended up messaging. There was a guy next to him wearing an IWC, a pilot's watch. And he was like, I love it because everyone in my industry's got X, Y, and Z watch, but I want this. So really, I'm reflecting on myself, and I thought I had a few lined up for the 30th, but I think I've gone back to the drawing table.
I mean, that is literally a film for another time, is that journey for you for your 30th.
It's tough. I know that sounds horrible.
I've seen you, and I should say, I think going back to those years where you couldn't afford it, and most accountants would certainly say now I couldn't afford, I shouldn't be affording, I should not be doing what I'm doing. So I think we're still there, but in many ways you chase back, you want to live those years again because those years are so magical when it's just, I remember for me reading just Hodinkee basically, reading Hodinkee and loving the fact that I could watch the videos and I could be like, wow, okay, cool, like that's amazing. And then, but now you've got to remember it's about fun, it's about magic, it's about, that's what watches are, they're about magic. And I'm excited to see that video on what is to come for the 30th. So would you get anything, would you sell anything now in sort of anticipation of leading up to that purchase? Or
do you know what I would, and this is something I've also become really good at, or being relaxed about, being honest. I think people, it's so easy on the outside to do two things. One is to keep up this concept of that you can buy anything. It's not true. I have financial constraints. I'm way past what is sensible. But the other side is just knowing your own limits and your own, what makes you comfortable, because joy can be removed very quickly once you overstretch.
I'm immediately thinking of my friend Pete, who had to ask his mother-in-law to borrow money to pay for the Elegant, which forever and more will ever be a story.
What a legacy.
And he just had a kid as well, and probably been his best investment.
No, the Elegant, a watch I didn't understand, classic. It picked it up, it did its thing where it goes to the right time. I've been pestering poor Ed over at Jean for actually, thank you to your introduction. Whether that happens or not, I do not know, but a 30th for that? That would be amazing. But I get it, that, the journey into independence is hard, and I do understand that the selection process is rather rigorous. So you never know. The point is, I don't know. A month ago when we filmed, I was like, oh, here's my selection. Now I'm like, I don't know anymore. And I honestly, not to be too deep about it, but I think it's a great bloody note to end, is we're all complicated humans. And what I've always loved about this is it's never polished, it's fun, and the journey is messy, and that's okay.
Without wanting to jump in on this, you should ask, guys, I would love to read in the comments what you think Emily should buy for her 30th.
Big old
I would love to jump in on those comments. But thank you for having me on the first.
Oh my gosh!
Return.
Thank you for the chaos. Thank you for the borderline cancellation before it even begins. And thank you very much.